My name is Bill Hine from Gillespie, Illinois.
I'm Ben Hine. We farm about 2,800 acres on a family farm with my brother and my father.
Our typical nitrogen plan was fall applied anhydrous, primarily with spring applied, what we couldn't do in the fall in the past. And then we have recently went to running 2x2 nitrogen on the planter as part of a supplemental system prior to getting the 360 Y drops. In the past, we felt like our typical nitrogen program was sufficient until we started seeing a lot of wet years that tended to leach the nitrogen out. And as we dug deeper into the agronomy side of that and used less reliance on our co-op for that, we've figured out that there are other ways and other means of getting things done that's not the old school way of doing things. And I think it's very important in the tighter margins that we have right now with the grain prices and so on to utilize those tools that we have available right now. This past year, we started with the 360 Y drops. We felt like that seeing those in testing and trials, that would be a good way to bring some advantage to our farm. Along with doing a nitrogen plan utilizing those, we also did our own nitrogen study where we wanted to compare. You can look at trials all day long, but I wanted to look at our own ground. And in that nitrogen study, we've seen advantages anywhere from 25 to 45 bushel just by using partially with the 360 Y drop over straight anhydrous.
Running the Y drops was a lot less intimidating than what it appears like it would be. Most perception of drops is that they're a pain, constantly falling off, causing issues. But they're very durable and tough, and we never really had any issue at all. Once you do about 50, 60 acres, you're used to it, and it was pretty smooth sailing.
We utilized 360 soil scan this year to identify how much nitrogen loss we had with the excess amounts of rain we received in the spring. We had a base plan of coming back with 50 units with the Y drop. We ended up bumping that to 70 because we seen that we had more loss than what we anticipated and needed more nitrogen out there. And in some side-by-side trials where we went back to 50 just to see if it made a difference, we gained about 20 bushels with that 20 pounds.
When we started harvest this year, with the excessive rain that we had, I was extremely shocked at the low areas. The yield variance was a lot less between the upper areas and the low areas that normally drowned out. Once we came through with the 360 Y drops, the low spots seemed to increase in yield drastically compared to what they normally would have been without them.
In addition to that, I think the other thing that we've seen was that some of our fields that typically didn't have the higher yields, that I believe didn't have the nitrogen holding capacity when we were putting it all up front, we've seen those probably increase in average yield substantially more than some of our heavier soils that would hold nitrogen better. That's where I seen a big improvement was on some of our lower lying, less productive acres and made them much more productive.
The best part about using the 360 soil scan was that we learned how much nitrogen we were really deficient. And it really, like I said before, we increased our yield substantially by adding extra in because we were pretty deficient.
And I think to add to that, in a dry year, opposite of what we've had, my belief is that we'll see maybe we don't need to add as much and we can save a little money on nitrogen, with the 360 soil scan. With the success we've seen with the 360 Y drops, our plan is to continue using them as late season nitrogen and probably pushing it as late as we can without hurting yield. I plan to do not only the trials with the different types of nitrogen forms and timing, but to do some timing with just the Y drops to see, how far can we push that back to where we can utilize our nitrogen the best and get the most out of the nutrients we're putting in the soil.